Radiant team ban.
Hello and what is up everybody, welcome back to another video. This is part 4 of my How to Beat Team Liquid series. Again, I'm going over every single replay of Team Liquid at TI throughout the group
Oh,
stages
dire team
and the main
ban.
stage. This is the 4th installment and the second game between Team Liquid and Fnatic. If you guys didn't catch the last episode, they stomped Fnatic in game 1 with the IO, and as we see here, Liquid actually banned out the IO themselves, as Fnatic is known to run it. Um, I think
Oh
both
man,
these
Rick, there's only
teams
10 seconds left to pick a
favored
hero.
IO the highest of all teams at TI.
Yeah, 5
Unfortunately, we
seconds
didn't get to
left
see
now.
Fnatic at all at the main stage, of course, because they dropped out,
Ooh, Radiant
but they
team
did
ban.
run it quite a bit in the group stages with various
Oh, dire
degrees
team
of
ban.
success. I guess they actually ended up losing a lot of games with IO. They kind of tried to emulate Liquid's playstyle with like the dual mid and early aggression, but it just didn't seem to work out for them. They normally came out ahead in the laning stage for
You,
the most
you
part,
really
but
got to
then they
pick a hero.
seemed
You got 10
to
seconds left.
give their lead away when trying
5
to
seconds,
close out the
Morty.
game.
It'll be fine.
But this series is not about Fnatic, it is about Team Liquid, and here they
Radiant
get
team
one
pick.
of their favorite heroes for GH, of course, Keeper of the Light in the first phase. This is quite common for them, and it wasn't until later on in the main stage until teams really figured out how to counter the Keeper. Pretty much it revolved around playing really fast. You can't let the game
10
slow down
seconds
at
to
any
pick your
point,
hero, you
because then Keeper will just get
moron.
that farm, and they do this thing
You,
where
you,
they
you better
have the
pick your
cores create
hero.
space
5
for GH to
seconds.
farm. They pick cores that can push out the lanes really safe and fast. Heroes such as like Darkseer, Brood Mother, Necrolite, and things like that, and they'll have the keeper just sit in the back farming all of the safe farm in the jungle, stacking cams, stacking ancients, and things like that. And then GH will just get this timing where he gets his Force Staff and Aghanim's, and they'll usually try to time that around a Rush, and then end the game with it. And we'll see something like that in this game, I'm sure. So just looking at Fnatic's picks here, they get Earthshaker Darkseer.
Go, dire team. Pick them up.
Both
Pick
these
Crucial.
heroes, I don't feel like they do that well against the Coddle. Earthshaker is a hero that doesn't play that fast because in the laning stage he can get a lot of ganks off, but he does require some type of lull so that he could eventually farm his Blink Dagger, and
Oh man, Rick, there's only
that's
10
true for
seconds left
both
to pick a
offlane
hero.
and support Earthshaker, but in this game it looks like
Yeah,
it most likely will be a
5
support
seconds left now.
Earthshaker unless they decide to run it mid or carrier or something weird like that. But same thing with the Darkseer. Uh, he is a farming offlaner. He's not an offlaner that constantly fights unless you're like really far ahead. He likes to take a lot of farm off the map, split pushes, and wants to get his items up. He can really farm faster than most offlaners just because he has Iron Shell and he can do it relatively safely, just putting on a creep wave and letting it go. But with Team Liquid, I feel like all they need to do is, again, pick those cores that push out the lane safely. They already have one here
Come
in the
on, Radiant team,
Bristleback,
you gotta pick them
and it's
right.
probably going to be played by
Witch
Mind
Doctor.
Control. Now, Witch Doctor picked up third from Fnatic. Again, this hero is strong in the laning stage, but then he does absolutely nothing against
Come on,
this
dire
Coddle
team, pick
later
it,
on in the
pick it
game.
good.
Doesn't provide any
Like
catch potential on him, doesn't counter him at all. Will just get mana leaked along with the rest of his team. And right now they don't have any Coddle counters, which is a big problem for Fnatic. And how the teams ended up beating Liquid was going for the Coddle counters, whether it was just super fast pushing heroes like Drow
You
Ranger
really gotta pick a
or
hero. You got
a
10 seconds left.
high number of mobility heroes to be able to catch out
5
the
seconds,
keeper
Morty.
and
It'll be
prevent him
fine.
from farming. And right now they don't have any of that on Fnatic. In terms of like their invade and gank potential, it's almost nothing. They have really good team fight, but Caudle is the master of playing against teams that have good team fight because he disrupts it so well with his mana leak. He can use his blinding light to mess up the carries and mess up your positioning, pop some heroes onto cliffs, and it's just super annoying to fight with him in certain areas of the map, like the Rosh Pit or anywhere near like cliffs or high ground and low grounds, because like blinding light a hero from a high ground to a low ground or from a low ground to high ground, whether or not they're like cliffed or not, can change the outcome of the fight, especially when there's no force stats or anything like that. It's pretty much a hero that forces you to build items to respond to them as a
Radiant
forward
team
position.
ban.
Like you need those Lotus Orbs to get rid of
Bloodseeker.
the mana leak. You need force staffs and things like that. Otherwise, he'll just take down your lanes. Pretty much, he'll run down your lanes and there's actually nothing you can do about it because he just gets the
10 seconds
ags.
to pick your hero, you moron.
So right now,
You better pick your
Fnatic
hero.
will
5
fourth
seconds.
pick a Bloodseeker. Again, this hero most likely is a response to Lycan. And again, Team Liquid pick up the Lycan because they just need lane pushers right now. Need heroes that push down lanes really fast and heroes that siege really well. And they have that in the Bristleback and Lycan. And they're going to play around GH and his Aghanims timing. As for the laning stage, Kato is going to go with Bristleback to the off lane. This whatever hero is going to be sent there, most likely the Bloodseeker. I think that he was picked in response to that as well, where he can match up against that matchup. It's still annoying for him, but with the sustain from his Blood Rage, as long as he doesn't fall too low and he can continue to CS, he should be able to do just fine. Either that, or they might send the Bloodseeker mid and give it to QO, and we'll see. Lycan can also potentially go mid if that's the case,
Oh man,
as I
Rick,
feel
there's
like his
only 10
matchup
seconds left to
with
pick a
Bloodseeker
hero.
isn't that bad, as long as he gets some levels up.
5 seconds left now.
But ideally, I think if they do see the Bloodseeker going mid, with the last pick from Fnatic being picked first here, so Liquid will be able to see Fnatic's full lineup, and they'll decide from there how they want to run their lanes.
Go Dire Team, pick them up, pick
Because
them out.
Lycan doesn't particularly want to lane against Darkseer. He can do it, but it's annoying for him. Once he gets a couple of levels up, he should be fine, and it will be a Ember Spirit mid for Fnatic from QO. And I feel like that is a much needed hero for them. They needed more mobility. Sure, Bloodseeker can run super fast, but they need real catch potential onto the Coddle in the
10
back
seconds to
line
pick your
and
hero,
even the
you
Tusk.
moron.
Because if they can't catch these supports on the side of Team
better pick your
Liquid,
hero.
they're going to
5
run into a
seconds.
major problem where they initiate onto anybody, especially like heroes like Bristleback. They just can't do it, and if they can't do that, they're just going to get their towers taken by the Lycan. And so the mid hero picked up here for Miracle will be a Zeus. This is an odd matchup because Ember Spirit can just run down the Zeus and gank him if he just receives any support. Nice Fissure from the Earthshaker or something like that. But Zeus actually isn't that bad against Ember if it's just a straight 1v1, depending on how he plays the lane, because he can just remove the Flame Guard real fast with his magic nukes. So it will be a mid Zeus for Miracle. Tumbleman will take the Lycan, and Mind Control will be on the Bristleback. The way I expect Liquid to lane this is, of course, GH and Mind Control in the off lane. GH can create some stacks. He does this thing where he's really good at like farming a camp at the same time and then stacking the Ancients with his Illuminate. And we'll watch his efficiency. And I think that it's really important for Fnatic to actually invade that and stop the Coddle from doing his thing. And we've seen the teams that beat Liquid to Coddle picked heroes and performed the laning stage in a way that allowed them to do that. Either they got ahead in a lane enough where they were able to pick the right matchups and make sure that they really focused their attention there onto the Keeper of the Light. As we'll head right into the game here.
Oxygen-rich atmosphere.
Speed through it a little bit here. Excuse me.
We'll be fine.
I need a drink of water, but it's too far, and I don't want to get off my butt. But anyway, let's just kind of have to hang with it. Hopefully this game isn't too long. It looks like it's long enough, but we'll survive. So QO actually TP'd to the safe lane. Interesting. They wrapped him back down around. Again, GH and Mind Control already setting up to be in the off lane. I think QO was the one who placed his ward here. So this is already up to a good start. Getting a nice ward. However, that to make sure that doesn't get countered. Do they have a sentry? No. Kuroki went for a greedier build here with the Ore Venom. Something you can do with the Coddle. But I'm expecting the Coddle just to go full greed later on. And as for the mid build here for Miracle, what is Lycan doing here? Oh, they scouted the Darkseer being in the top lane, I believe. And they'll actually do a lane swap. Interesting. They really want the Bloodseeker to match up against the Bristleback. That's a lot better matchup, but I think Fnatic realizes this and is switching back. So this is a weird start to the game, actually. I don't know why they really favor that matchup. I guess Lycan actually does pretty awful against the Bloodseeker in the early stages. I commented that they could both go mid before, but The thing is, they both go mid. Lycan will get owned, but um, his levels come a little bit faster compared to if they were on the side lane. But same thing will happen here. The lane that I'm not so sure like what they actually wanted, because I don't feel like both of these lanes are favorable for Lycan. Both the Darkseer and the Bloodseeker will be annoying for him in the early stages. And I feel like Darkseer is actually more annoying. He'll take a lot more harass from Darkseer than Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker will just out CS him. So I think this is actually the favored matchup for Liquid, and they will get it and force the lane swap. Or actually no, Ohio just TP to the tower. They're gonna keep the lanes like this. And there's actually no chance of swapping now that Ohio did that on the mid lane. What the heck happened? Tri-lane mid. Classic Liquid. Hero will go down, and again, this matchup is real weird. I feel like this does favor Zeus if he receives help. If both heroes receive help, especially if Miracle has more help with 2 heroes instead of just 1, he'll come ahead. So they nuke down Kilo there and get the kill. And this Flame Guard will be on a very short lifetime as long as Miracle has mana. And at this point, they will go for a lane swap. So yeah, this is what I expected. They ideally want the Lycan against the Darkseer alone. A Darkseer with help annoys him, but I do like how Liquid are staying fluid with their laning stage. This is something that they do really well, which is switch up their lanes and set up their matchups in a way that will favor them. And it's not just like head-to-head, right? They know sometimes they'll stay in a lane for a little bit longer so that they can get to a certain level, which will make the lane more bearable. And with Lycan level 2, and once he gets level 3, this lane will be a lot easier against the Darkseer than if he was level 1. And same thing here in the top lane. I think they probably favored some type of matchup like this in the first place. Like, this lane is annoying for the Bloodseeker because Burst Back will just sit in the middle of the creep wave and double spam Cold Spray with the Coddle, and there's not much that he can do. And notice he's just entirely zoned out now, and yeah, he'll actually lane swap. But again, the Darkseer will have his TP, it's cooldown, so he's gonna swap up top. So I'm seeing some musical lanes right now. And like, this lane isn't bad for Matama Man, so he isn't that sad. He's just gonna get out CS. That's the thing. Bloodseeker does significant amount more damage than him until he gets more pulse up and Feral Impulse, and he'll be fine, I think. But this lane matchup is not bad for Mind Control or GH either, so this is a win-win for Liquid, I would say. And the mid lane, Miracle is doing just fine against Kyo here. With the help of Kuroki, he can pretty much turn around any single gank that they try to go onto the Zeus, and he can just turn it around as long as he has mana. Again, pop that Flame Guard, and now he forced Kyo's back to base. And this is how JH plays in the early game. He wins his lane for his teammate, and he's doing that for Mind Control right now, making sure Mind Control has a nice lane. And then later on, he just transitions into a phase where he just maximizes his farm in the jungle while his teammates are pushing out lanes and creating pressure on the map. And if you don't have any type of response to that, whether it's ganking Coddle or trying to pressure down the tower, forcing the Coddle to go there and defend, he'll just come ahead, get a really fast Aghanims, and with that timing and their lineups that they usually draft, they can just straight up end the game off of that Aghanims timing. I definitely can see that happening in this game. Attempting a fissure onto Miracle. He's on the wrong side, and now as you see, the Tunnel Man is doing fine in the bottom lane. It's open the last hits and denies, and again, yeah, he will be getting out CS'd by the Bloodseeker, but I mean, Bloodseeker doesn't have kill potential onto him until he gets level 6, but even then, the Tunnel Man can just TP out, so he has to make sure he doesn't take too many pot shots like that from Ogjet, but after that, he should be fine. Just waits for the creep wave to come to him, and he'll CS happily under his tower. Again, not the funnest lane from a Tunnel Man, but this is what he's used to at this point, playing with Liquid. Usually takes the worst lane, and will come back later on. what happened in the mid lane. Kill, they attempt to kill there onto Kilo, TP in for DJ. Kuroki loses life, but it's a TP rotation forced, and Miracle will survive. Notice Miracle is actually CSing with his hero, and he went for double no talisman. I think this is important to note, as if he has mana, Ember is not going to be able to kill him, but if he expends mana or quick wave, Ember might be able to go for a kill attempt, because he won't get his Flame Guard removed. On the top lane, Mind Control will take over the lane at this point. And GH. Mid. Kuroki gonna lose his life again. They're attempting kills onto QO. This is not that bad for Liquid, even though they're losing a kill there. Every time they're dying onto Kuroki like this, it's forcing QO to go back and heal. And he's not farming mid in this time. Look, he's losing all these creeps, and he'll have to go bottom and shrine. It's also keeping the supports occupied, which will only favor Matoma Man and Control.
Never refuse go.
Matoma Man will go for 3 points in Feral Impulse, and with that, he should do a lot better in this lane. At this point, he isn't really that scared of Bloodseeker anymore. Just has to watch out for the Rupture, but even then, he's STP. But now with the supports coming in, Matoma Man has to be a little bit careful. Let's see what he does here. So he knows they're coming. He's suspecting something. He's clicking the mid lane. Yeah, he's gonna hide in the trees now. So back to free camera right now. Alright, this guy's getting muted. Stop messaging. Matoma Man does get ruptured in the bottom lane and can't TP out because there's heroes here. He will die. They realize this in the mid lane and they're gonna go for Kilo, trade 1 for 1. Again, Matoma Man, he didn't use his TP there because he knew he was gonna die, so he'll have TP and TP back out. They might lose his bottom tower because he's taking a lot of damage from Blood Rage Catapult. But again, Kilo is getting nothing out of this mid lane. He is getting out CS by the Zeus, out leveled significantly. He's not level 6 yet, and Mind Control is also doing great in the top lane. But Matoma Man's job is just to get the farm later, and he doesn't need that much farm to melt towers. And that's his only job this game, is to melt the towers. They don't need much more out of him in terms of trying to go crazy in the team fights or anything like that. Because the way Liquid want to play is they literally will just siege and use the Kato Ags to heal everyone up and then make it unfightable for the Dire. And with that, they'll just take towers to Lycan. It's a nice play. Matoma Man, he gets his kill. This is sick.
I'll take that.
Yeah, they're putting so much pressure onto shutting Kilo down. Matoma Man's going for it. He's an angry wolf. He's gonna get it. That was a really good play from him to be in the mid lane like that, set up that kill. Kuroki is here, nice snowball, and Liquid is just playing a lot better than Fnatic at this point. Kilo getting greedy there, he didn't expect him to die like that. It's pretty unlikely that Matoma Man and Miracle just show up in the mid lane like that, and then Miracle did a significant amount of damage with just his nukes. Miracle gets ruptured, gets a nice Invis rune, he'll survive, and then top lane, Mind Control doing his thing. So now Fnatic is in a very rough spot, right? If you look at net worth, it doesn't look like much. Right? Liquid's not that far ahead, Fnatic actually has more kills, but the question is, what hero is shut down on that? The Ember Spirit. What hero did I say in the drafting phase is most important to shutting down the Kato and making things happen? The Ember Spirit, because he's the only hero that has real catch potential, right? The Earth Spirit can't really, or the Earth Shaker can't really set up ganks at all, as he dies there. Bloodseeker can't really do that either. He really is a hero that comes to the ganks. He doesn't really set up a gank himself. If he just ruptures, heroes will TP out, so they'll respond accordingly. And he's not going to do much. And his role later on in the game will just be farm up, get some items, and then come to the fights a little bit late. Because if he comes too early, the Zeus is just going to nuke him super hard. And he's unable to fight at that point. So he doesn't want to show himself that early on in the fight. So come on later on.
Dire's top
And
tower's under
the
attack.
hero that's really meant to lead these fights is the Ember Spirit, who's significantly shut down at this point. It's only level 7.
Dire's middle tower's
Miracle is
under
almost
attack.
level 9 here, about a full level ahead of him. And Miracle's hero is significantly stronger at this point in the game as well.
Oh boy, Dire's middle tower's under attack.
Now, Miracle or Mind Control will be sent to defend the bottom lane. Fnatic is really stretching for something to happen here. They know that they need to make something happen, otherwise Liquid will just slow down the game and do what they do. And it's already happening. Notice Kato has already taken the lane to himself to the farm. Mind Control is sitting here in the bottom lane. They will go for a gank prayer. If this gank doesn't work out, it's going to be disastrous. They might lose multiple heroes here. As Miracle comes in, Ohio falls really low. They already lose their Bloodseeker. As I said, if he leads the charge, he's going to die. Miracle comes in with a zap. Kilo is here. Might just die as well. No, he still has remnants. Again, Fnatic's plan was to get this Darkseer, Iron Shield, Ember Spirit and just have him go crazy, but he is so far behind at this point. Normally you almost expect him to have his Veil complete almost at this point, but it's not really anywhere near it. He has both no talismans and that's it. And with this, Mind Control is right back in the mid lane, putting pressure. Matoman this whole time was already taking the top tower. The top tower is dead. Miracle gets jumped here, but watch the Flame Guard melt. Bye-bye Flame Guard. More damage for the Ember Spirit. He will die again for his team here, but again, doesn't really care that much. And comes Matoman with the Wolves. His job is already complete in the top lane, so he's gonna come and try to clean up here to the best of his ability. Kills. I might just fight forward with Fnatic at this point. Maybe not. Kills in it.
Killing spree.
Kills.
Oh man, this guy's dominating. We should start calling this person triple kill.
Yeah, Liquid went a little bit too deep here. This is a pretty big comeback for Fnatic, but it's exactly what they needed. If this didn't happen, I'd be very worried. But this gets baited there. He goes too deep again. That was a huge win if they just backed away, but they go too deep. Double man mans up, gets that kill. Top of Kuroki, they almost got another kill there after the Bloodseeker. Almost to, oh, and he will die to the Thunder God's Wrath. So yeah, that's definitely not worth it for Fnatic. They had something going for them there, and then they just lost their lead again. Let's see. Feed 2 kills on the cores back to Liquid, so if anything, that was even, and Liquid are totally fine with taking even fights at this point. Again, the game will have to slow down for Febby to eventually farm his Blink Dagger. And as you see, he's just gonna die here again, and this is turning out to be a big loss for Fnatic at this point. And because at this point, what can Liquid do? They're just gonna resume what they're doing, right? There was a lot of smoke usage from Fnatic. I don't know how many smokes they have left. They got 2 onto the Witch Doctor. And Mind Control, when he gets to a good state, they just need to wait until he gets his Hood and his Vanguard. And he's pretty happy. Tom Man gets Necro 3 and he's happy. Miracle has his Veil already, gets his
Oh boy, Dire's middle
Aether
tower
Lens
is
and
under
Blink,
attack.
and he's good. And then JH just needs his Ags. He's going for his 4-staff first, as he always does. 4-staff, Ags, and I think the game will be over for Fnatic. Because Liquid's execution with that Ags onto Coddle is second to none. And right now Fnatic is realizing that they need to put pressure onto Liquid. They can't let the game slow down, but as a result, like, if these fights don't go Fnatic's way, this Earthshaker is never getting his Blink. Witch Doctor is not going to have items or levels. Ohio is not even going to finish his mech. He doesn't have his mech yet. Like right now, for example, we can pause it right here. And we see Fnatic play a cleaner laning stage. Ohio could have a mech right now, which would be huge. QO can have his Veil. Well, he already has his Veil, but he'll be a higher level. He's only level 9. He'll be level 10. Which is actually important. He'll have the spell amp, and level 2 remnant's pretty important as well, so the closer he is to level 12 is critical. So that's mech, more levels in the QO, and potentially like half of his gold to his next item, Blink Dagger or whatever, right? And the Bloodseeker, I feel like he had the best lane of all of them, but he's not that high level either. Like, these fights just haven't been going their way. They're just low level. Look at Miracle, who's level 11. And once he gets level 12, he's gonna do so much damage. He does get caught out here, but a full-on fight will break out. And this is the last hero they want to go on, as the Bristleback tanks all the damage. Now the Zeus ult comes through. Wolf is running them down, and Fnatic just runs right into a liquid trap. And what is Gage doing this whole time? He's not involved. He is farming his Force Staff. I'm assuming farming his Aghanims. And at the same time, he's also putting lane pressure onto Fnatic. Someone will have to go up here when they spawn to push this wave back out. Otherwise, this tower is just going to take free chip damage. And this whole time is going to create more space for Liquid to farm the map. They did get the bottom tower with that rotation from Fnatic, but they're just losing out at this point. That was a huge loss, and Liquid can just farm up now. Like, they're happy. They know that as long as they frontline the fight with mind control, they'll just farm this huge ulti stack up now and get his hood. Zeus ultimate will come through, the Zeus damage will come through, and as I said, Miracle's level 12, he has his Aether Lens and his Blink Dagger time. He's online. Mind Control is close to being online. I would say he can be online in this game with just a hood as well, because most of the damage from Fnatic is actually magic damage. The only physical damage, I guess, is the Wish Doctor ultimate and Bloodseeker. Again, this is Fnatic playing Fnatic Dota. They're right at it with another gang. They do get a couple of critical kills here. It's 2 cores with Tunnel Man and Miracle. 5 man after 5 man. And again, this is hurting them in terms of item progression though. Even though they get the kills there, because they use all 5 heroes, they didn't get that much gold individually out of it. And the Dark Tier still doesn't have his back. 16 minutes into the game. Ember Spirit did get the gold there, I believe, because he got the kills.
Radiant's middle tower is
And got
under
the kill
attack.
to Tunnel Man. So he's close to his next item to travel, and they're still going and running at Liquid.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And if this fight doesn't go their way, it will be devastating. If they win, of course, it will be good. And so much damage. Here comes Zeus ultimate. Here comes the Wolf. They lose 2 already. Ajit's on his way to die as well. As comes in with the longest punch. Yeah, that's 3 dead. Hero gets out. But now there's no mech onto the Darkseer. And they don't want this game to be able to slow down. I'm fine with them playing this fast, but at some point they need to slow down the game just because of their hero picks. Let's say they had a different lineup, something like an IO lineup, where they're able to constantly sustain and go for these fights. I think that this is okay with what they're doing, but because a hero like Earthshaker eventually needs to slow the game down to farm his Blink Dagger, otherwise he stops being useful in these fights other than just a fissure, right? He must be able to use his Echo Slam at least. Don't see this working out for Fnatic. At this point, what Liquid can do is just make sure they respond accordingly to Fnatic, even give them some objectives. Again, Liquid really favor defending their buildings, so I don't see them doing that, but if need be, they have the option. And Kyo has his boots of travel, be able to split push a little bit better. Notice Liquid's positioning, they're expecting the Fnatic gank train again, so they're just making sure they stay in a position where they're going to be able to respawn. The Tunnel Man is not even farming, they're just leaving Miracle to farm as somewhat of a bait, and the only hero that's positioning aggressively at all is Mind Control, the hero that they can afford to do that with. And notice what Jage is doing. His team is creating space for him. He's farming off the map with his Coddle, stacking, being efficient, and getting his Aghanims up. And Fnatic's on a timer. If they don't get anything done, Coddle is eventually going to get Ags. They're going to recall Miracle here to help pressure this wave out. And we'll force a T rotation from the Ember Spirit. And again, does Fnatic have tower pushing potential? No, they can't even take this tier 1 mid. None of their heroes hit towers particularly well. I would say none of their heroes can hit the tower. They don't want to hit the tower with Ember. Bloodseeker doesn't really want to hit the tower either, so kind of done here. Double lightning bolt on Zeus. Combo with Coddle there. Right? He will die, but Fnatic misses everybody. Oh, he didn't die, he lived on 100 HP. Magic Stick saved his life. Fnatic will get wiped, and we'll go back to that team fight. again, this is the last hero that Fnatic want to go on. I don't know what they're thinking at this point. They're just feeling like they need something to be done. They go onto My Control, he doesn't care. Then double lightning bolt function from no blink dagger onto Earthshaker. There's no initiation, so how are they gonna ever catch Zeus? How are they gonna catch heroes like Coddle and Tusk in the back? The only hero they can go for is the hero that Liquid gives them, and the only hero that Liquid is going to give them is Bristleback. They get baited into that one. They lose 4. Kilo survives, but I would say at this point it's too late for.
Oh boy, Tyre's bottom
It's too
tower.
late for Fnatic. The game's actually over, in my opinion. What's gonna happen is Coddle's gonna get his Ags. He'll have 2,000 gold. Sean's gonna happen, and then they're gonna straight lose the game. Let's see if that's exactly what happens. Kuroki dies again. Again, they do not care at all about Kuroki. He's warding. Yeah, just gets you warded. It's whatever. What's My Control building? He actually will go for a pipe. He doesn't care too much about Vanguard, as there's no physical damage really that much. So the pipe will improve the survivability by a lot, especially against Ember, Darkseer, and Coddle. Farm Zag, watch GH. Zeus ultimate, use the Scout to cover for Roshan. Roshan a little bit before Coddle actually gets his Ags. He still needs 1,250 gold. He'll have it soon. That's a huge play. Burns all of Kiro's mana. Calls Kuroki to himself. GH watching them set up a kill there on Pursuit Kiro. They set up a kill onto Kiro. They get Rosh at the same time. And that's going to increase his farm a little bit, which will allow him to get Nags. At the same time, they can fight the bottom lane. Looks like the Tunnel Man got gone on. We're slowly going back down a little bit.
Whoa, mega kill.
This stuff is still happening.
Mega kill.
Yeah, so this game's actually ending faster than I expected there. With a huge play there from GH. Same time at bottom lane. Again, they're happy with Lycan's items. He has Necro. They're good. They don't even care about Broken. Who cares about his items? Good gank onto Miracle, but it doesn't matter that much. He literally will just get recalled in when he spawns, as we're actually running straight down this bottom lane and taking these towers, which will allow GH to get his Ags. He just needs 20 more gold at this point, and it will coincide with daytime as well. So 1 minute in, or 1 minute from now, I say the game is over for Fnatic. Not over, they're gonna lose racks, and if they lose racks, it's really
Oh man, this guy's dominating!
almost dies, but he loses Bloodseeker. His Bloodseeker can never fight. Look at his items. He actually goes in it, he'll die immediately to any of these heroes. It's very squishy. Like, rupturing these heroes, like, Mind Control, like, he doesn't care. Even if he, like, ruptures Miracle, as long as he just, like, doesn't get silenced, he moves out of the blood, right? Don't care that much either. And with the Agnums coming out, it'll just get healed up. And Ags is out, daytime is in 10 seconds, and this is game over for Fnatic. Talk about the game. Mistake here, I would say definitely on laning stage. They didn't play properly against Liquid. They needed to put more effort on protecting the hero that mattered for them, which was Kilo. So you saw how Kilo actually ended up owning this game with nice comeback games from Fnatic. Now imagine that he was having a good lane in the first place and it wasn't a comeback. Right? Imagine it was just him going for the same type of ganks that they did that worked on Liquid, but with him already having a decent advantage, if not at least a better start than he did in this game, because his supports protected him. Because again, the Bristleback is going to get farm. Tunnel Man is not worth pressuring him because he doesn't matter in this game. Liquid is actually happy if Fnatic put efforts to pressure Tunnel Man, and they didn't actually, so they only ganked him once the Bloodseeker got level 6, but even then, I consider that not really that worth it for Liquid. I mean, they got them a kill there, but it was not worth them leaving Kilo to get shut down that hard. Now 2 racks are down, and again, Liquid is really good at prioritizing what hero needs a good start and what players need a good start, like Miracle and Mind Control. Usually it's with Tunnel Man with the bad start. It's just how it works out, because this meta safe lane is relatively hard to protect. If you're trying to protect a greedy safe laner, you're going to need to commit a lot of resources to do so, and it just doesn't allow Liquid to play fluid, doesn't allow them to move around the map, both their supports the way they'd like to. And as a result, normally they just pick a top mana hero that gets sacrificed, and they come back later with Miracle and Mind Control, making space with the farm that they've done, and secured by the supports. One last fight. Doesn't matter, their Rax is gone, Mega Creeps is claimed, they're actually just getting thrown at this point, and GG is called. So this is a nice and clean game from Liquid. They executed their strat pretty much exactly how they want to. We saw Fnatic come back in there with a lot of fights, but I didn't feel like any of those fights mattered, and a lot of times they even overextended, and after one fight gave back a couple of kills to Liquid. And if they're going to do that, Liquid were totally fine with taking even trades because they were getting the farm that they needed on the heroes that needed it, and at the same time GH was getting a lot of space as well, as he didn't contribute to a lot of those mid-game fights, and he was just getting his farm up, getting his ags, while Fnatic were 5-manning and taking even trades against Liquid's 4-man, and Liquid still managed to survive, get their core items up, and win the game. So that's going to be it for this replay analysis. This is part 4 of the How to Beat Team Liquid series. There's not that much learned from Fnatic in general. All you can really see from these replays is how strong Liquid is as a team, their rotations. When they know they're strong, they usually are able to set up fights, especially with a low number of stuns, which is something that is actually very hard to do. That means that they don't have that much potential to start a fight, so as a result they really need to either bait a hero or use their spells to their full capacity, right? As we saw what happened in the top lane there, no stuns onto Ember Spirit, Mana Leak into Mana Burn, and then he used the Blinding Light, stun the Ember, recalled at the same time as well, got Croaky in there and secured the kill there onto QO with just a Coddle, Tusk, and Zeus. So impressive play from Team Liquid. Who needs stuns? Who needs initiation in this game? They didn't have any of that actually. They had no hero to actually initiate the fight. The way they initiated the fights were they got gone on first, either that or they just started some. They ran a hero in to get gone on. So if they can't bait somebody, they're gonna run someone in and force them to be baited, because otherwise you can't really ignore a Bristle running straight into your team, or a Lycan running straight into your team. And after that, Miracle followed up, got the kills, and carried the game. QO had a rough laning stage, came back real well, but that was not the way they were going to win there. I feel like the only way that, not the only way, but the best way for Fnatic to play this game was to give QO a good start and then have him snowball, not have him have a bad lane and then come back. That's just not how it works. Ohio needed to prioritize his mech timing, as it was going to help them survive these fights. I think like his hero was really important. Like if they can just get mech pipe onto him, they would have been good, but they needed to play a combination of a slow game in the early game, and then they can run out their aggression. Instead, they had a really bad early game. They got a couple of kills here and there, but it just wasn't the ideal early game just because of how hard Kyo got shut down. Like they ganked for him, but every time he got like one of those kills, he got super low, and as a result, he was still pressured, and it just didn't pan out well for them. I don't know what they could have done better. It was honestly most of their draft's problem, because their supports aren't that good at helping out the Ember. For example, if like they had IO to sustain him, he would have had a lot less problems. It was just this game definitely is on their draft. I don't see how Bloodseeker fits in this game really. He doesn't like amp up the Ember's damage, I guess, but that's it. Like their entire game is around QO, and it didn't work out. Like Febi's never gonna get anything in this game. And if I were to play against Liquid draft like this, I would say definitely need to either push towers real fast or get heroes that catch, or a combination of both. And Fnatic just got like team fight. They just picked like their regular QO draft, and that's not going to work against Liquid. I don't think it works against a lot of teams now. It's just an outdated playstyle, and it works when teams are not prepared for it. It probably works against lower tier teams, but just not the best team in the world, Team Liquid. And I don't have much more to say about this replay, so I'll see you in the next one. I don't know what team is up next, but hopefully it is more even games. I feel like there's a lot more to learn from that IG Vitality game. But anyway, make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed what you've seen so far. And again, this is going to be uploaded every single day and every single game that Liquid played at TI. So stay tuned for episode 5 and make sure you subscribe to get a notification. I guess you won't get a notification. You need to click the bell icon down below as well. But if you subscribe, you'll see it in your sub feed. So anyway, that's enough for that, and I'll see you all in the next one.